All right. Well, if you're ready to go, we can get on rolling.
Yeah, let's get it.
This is Indecisive Cinema episode 60. We hit the big 60
Hero. Well, I'm
just in
Carlos
time.
Hernandez.
Oh, I'm Jeremy Knight, remembered. Speaking of Carlos, your birthday is coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up
Happy birthday.
Sunday.
Is it yeah, not tomorrow. What day is it? Friday?
It's the 26th. Today's Friday, so it's Sunday the 26th. So I believe it or not, I'm spending a day in the theater for that one.
That's a great way to
Yeah, I
spend it.
just wanted low key. Like I said, today I'm hanging out with the girls. Tomorrow, my god niece's birthday is always the day before mine, so I'm taking her out to Pop Fancy. And then all next week, We're gonna go out of town Tuesday. Monday, I'm going to the farm. Her like I think I mentioned, but her my wife's uncle passed, and her father was cleaning out his house, and he said, "Listen, there's like a giant tub of records from the
Oh, that's
'60s
cool.
for now." And when I was at the funeral, he had a cool picture. They did a nice little spread, like photos. And when he was around 7, he had this like Mad magazine he was
Mhm.
holding up in front of the camera. And I told my father-in-law, I said, "Oh shit!" I said it's weird because when I was around 7 or 8, I got into Mad. So he ended up telling me the other day, he goes, "I found a tub full of Mad magazines from."
Whoa,
So I was like, so I said, "Oh my god, this
that's
could be a
cool.
birthday gift." Yeah, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
we're gonna pick that up on Monday. Go out of town Tuesday, and then come back on Friday next week Friday, and then just chill that weekend before I have to go back to work. And then I'm gonna have
That'd
a
be a
lot
nice
of
little,
work. Yeah,
much deserved break.
great. Yeah. How about you? How's everything? Marissa went to Dallas or something. Where did she go?
She's going to San Antonio, but then they're going to a show. They're going to see a comedy show or two shows in Austin. So, but yeah, with her friend Mark, who lives in San Antonio. So,
Okay.
she's going there today. She just left, and then I think she's coming back Monday. So I've got the weekend to myself. But this has been one of the busiest weeks I've had
Yeah,
in
you've been.
years. So, yeah, next week I'm on an Exxon site for it's like 8 straight. It's like 8 days of filming. No, I think it's 10 days of filming, but there's two that are later in the month. But it's like 8 days in a row with Sunday off only.
I'm sure.
So
Is
starting
that
on
a
Monday.
corporate gig or
Yeah, there's some kind of installation that we're
uh,
documenting. So not
where is
super
this
creative, but
downtown or?
it's up in Baytown, so it's 30 minutes from
Oh,
here. Just
so
kind of
you'll be
nice.
yeah, you're right by your house. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because the call time on Monday is 6 a.m. So I'm glad that it's only
yeah,
30 minutes
right.
away.
Pick up around 5 or whatever.
Yeah, the Kaplan job this week though, all those were in the medical center and they're all at Rice, and so I drove so much this week. I'm
Yeah,
ready to finally have some days at home, but I've got to spend them working because we've got some uptime client stuff that I've got to just get locked
got
before
editing.
the Exxon job. Yeah, I got some editing to do, so I'm just like it's been a nonstop stretch. I'm exhausted. I can't believe we're able to do this podcast today, to be honest, but I'm glad we're here. We got a
Yeah,
lot. So I've seen a lot of stuff
yeah,
in the past couple of weeks. Some of them though Carlos hasn't, or most of them Carlos hasn't seen. I was gonna do. We've both seen the Pitt season 2, so we're gonna talk
yeah.
about that. I finished Widow's Bay, which is awesome. And I'll kind of briefly give just spoiler free thoughts on that. I saw Evil Dead Burn, which I'm going to talk about without spoilers. I also saw The Invite, which I'll talk about without spoilers. I did see the big release this week, which is the Odyssey. I
No.
got to see that in IMAX or fake IMAX, but still. So I'll talk about that without spoilers. And then we both
What's
saw
fake IMAX?
it's the Regal Greenway IMAX theater.
But what?
It's
I'm
where
saying,
they do all the test screenings.
what do you call
Oh,
it?
I think it's not a true full size IMAX theater. So it's like I want to say it's just smaller, but the most important thing is the shape of the screen is correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's just in AMC's the same thing. It's a fake IMAX theater, I
Okay,
believe.
I didn't know that. I know because they're playing, or it said. Now that you say that, they said Odyssey was in 70 millimeter, and I'm like,
It's
okay,
in 70 millimeter film. I don't, well, there's, so that's actually the one you don't want to see, I believe. So
yeah.
look up the theater that we'll talk about the Odyssey formats. It's a fucking mess,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
get to that in a little bit.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we'll get to that later. But then the last movie that we both saw that we're going to do with spoilers is a Hungarian-Canadian indie drama called Blue Heron from
Okay.
last year. So we'll talk about that in spoilers. And yeah, so that's kind of the outline of the episode. I did. There's one thing I wanted to talk about. There's two trailers coming out. They're very different types of movies. The tone looks completely different. You've absolutely heard of one, which is the To Catch a Predator trailer,
Yeah, yeah.
which looks awesome. I forget what it's called. What's it called again?
Uh, oh my God.
It's one word. It's like
Talking about time though.
I don't remember. But
I
anyway,
know, yeah, but the one with
great
Robert
teaser.
Pattinson playing Chris Hansen. Yes,
Yes, great
very well
teaser.
made.
It gives you a really interesting tone.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a great hook. You're like, I don't know what the hell this is, and then and then it's revealed that he's Chris Hansen at the end of it. But it
yes,
just gives
yes,
you a tone. It looks like something Fincher would make. Like it's like really like it
yeah,
seems like it's gritty and
yeah.
thrilling. I don't know
Interesting.
what it is. At least I don't know what it's going to be. But that's a perfect teaser. It's like you know who's
Yeah,
involved. You get a really interesting kind of sneak peek at the tone of it, and then that's it. The other trailer though, which is from a director that we actually just talked about, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie last year.
yeah,
Matt
yeah.
Johnson's, I think it's Matt Johnson's got a new movie about Anthony Bourdain,
Oh yes, yes, yeah. Tony.
which
Yeah,
looks like a fine movie. You know, it's got the guy, the kid from The Holdovers, who's great in that, and looks like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
great in this. Yeah, it's got a good cast, and Antonio Banderas. It's got I don't know, it's got a lot of people, got good people in it. Looks like a good movie, but good lord, the trailer's 4 minutes, and it's every single story beat in the movie is in the trailer.
yes, yes, yes.
Like, can we? I just wanted to rant a little bit about this
No, go
concept.
ahead. Yeah,
Like,
I didn't. I thought the trailer was also too long, like the '70s, where the '70s trailers told you the whole movie. But
like
yeah, I also thought it was too long, and I mean the guy does look a little bit like him, but I don't know. It doesn't make me want to really see it, or at least in
I
theaters.
mean, the movie looks good. I just don't think the trailer is good. That's
Yeah, the
really what I'm
trailer's not
talking
what
about
that's
here.
what I mean.
Because
Like the trailer didn't make me want to see the film.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
like there's
as
like,
opposed
but
to the Robert.
literally like there's like a line at the beginning of the trailer where he's like, somebody is like calls him a cook, and he says, "Actually, I said I'm a writer, but I can also cook or something." There's like that line, which is dumb in the context of a trailer, but I bet in a movie it
Exactly.
works
Yeah.
fine. But then at the end of the trailer, there's like the if anyone asks, I'm a cook, and you're like, ah, like we were gonna show the entire character arc, and like it's all there in the trailer. I'm just like,
Yeah.
why have we not learned from stuff like Long Legs or these like
Yeah.
smaller, like even in like Obsession or these other like, I mean, I mean, that was a smaller movie, so they didn't get as much press
Yeah.
until it blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I just Long Legs is a perfect example of a good movie, a fine movie, but not a masterpiece that made a ton of money because they just teased it instead of spoiling every detail about it. I don't know. I don't understand why we keep doing this. Like, what is the
I
evidence?
mean, it's funny because for a while, like the Chris Hansen film, which you're right. I mean, it's a perfect trailer. Like you saying, "Oh, what's going on?" Yeah, but with these new trailers, like I said, I don't know if Hollywood thinks we're that fucking stupid that
Yeah,
they have to dumb it down for you and then say, "Well, here's the whole movie and clip it, but go give me the money to see it in full." I don't know.
I
I
can't
think
go
that
see a movie unless I know exactly what I'm
exactly
going
what
to see. Like what who feels that way? I don't it's one thing I understand somebody looking at the To Catch a Predator trailer
yeah,
and going, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to go take a risk on seeing that. I understand that there's probably a middle ground here. But
yeah,
like why do we have to show every single story beat? Why can't we just show the first act, like the setup and maybe some of the
yeah.
dynamics that are established in the film without giving away the entire movie? I just don't. And again, it's not just this movie. There's so many examples of it. This is just an interesting comparison of, semi-biographical
Yeah,
dramas,
yeah.
drastically different genres, it appears. But, like the To Catch a Predator trailer, I'm like, I don't know what that looks interesting. I don't know what
But
it
you look,
is.
it sucks you in, because you
Yeah.
want to know what's going on.
And it gets people talking about it. Like, I
Yeah,
don't even know the name of it, but I'm sold just purely
I
because I know
know
nothing
it's
about it and I'm curious.
weird. I forgot the name.
Um, but yeah, anyway, it's a really bizarre. I don't know. I saw they played the Anthony Bourdain trailer before the Odyssey, and I was just like Lena Marissa. I'm
I
like, I
the
know
trailer
I know
that's
everything about it.
the Odyssey.
Maybe it was for something else. We did see a lot of movies. It might have been Evil Dead,
That's not good.
but
But
again, I think the movie looks fine. I'm not. I sincerely think you could make a trailer that's a minute long instead of 4 minutes that cuts a lot of the, shows the main characters and gives you an idea of the tone and just doesn't give anything else away about every bullet point of the movie. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. It'll probably flop and we will forget about it forever. But hopefully it's a good movie. I'm not rooting against it.
Yeah.
We had a beach house 2 weekends ago. I don't even know what week it is. I think it was 2 weekends ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And one of the nights we like turned on Arrested Development, and because my friend Cody, he's a big fan of it. He's seen it many times, like myself. But it's been a while for him, and so he was like, "Let's just put Arrested Development on. That's brainless. You can just sit there and watch it.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
it can be on in the background. We don't have to follow it because we've already seen it."
yeah, yeah.
But there were two other. There's another couple, Wesley and Darian, who were with us that big movie fans. They watch a lot of stuff. They're definitely like film educated and stuff, and we talk a lot about movies. But they hadn't seen Arrested Development, or at least they hadn't seen all of it, I don't think. And so we put it on and we watched like 8 episodes of it. Like it was the tail end of season 2. It was like the lead up to the finale of season 2, and then like all the Mr. F stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought this all up is I just forget how good that show is, and I return to it twice a year. I mean, it's a show. It's like Seinfeld for me. Like I can just put it on at any point in time, or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like these are shows that I just cycle through. It's like comfort food. But it was fun to watch it with an audience that hadn't seen
Yeah.
it before, because it's been a long time since I've shown Arrested Development to somebody, because everybody in my life I've sat down and forced them to watch it, like what's his name from Clockwork Orange, just like you have to watch Arrested Development. But it was just so much fun, like the big reveal of Mr. F, that whole arc
Yeah.
just really worked. And it was I don't know, it's just like a god, what a masterpiece of a show. I mean, it's just the best. And like I was living vicariously through them. It was like I was
Yeah.
experiencing it again for the first time.
And did they
Uh, what's that?
did they like it?
I think everybody had a good time. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was. But yeah, regardless, it was just fun. That show is just. If you haven't seen Arrested Development, I'm sure somebody in your life has told you to watch it, and
Yes.
you should listen to them, because it's my favorite show of all time. I don't think there's anything close. I have not watched anything as much as I've watched that show, and the later seasons aren't as strong for me, but I do think that first run is some
Yeah.
of the best television ever made. So, anyway, Arrested Development, just classics,
Go
man.
go watch it. Go watch it,
Yeah,
everybody.
so much fun. Speaking of television, we finished the Pit, which we talked about season 1, which I loved. I just thought it was a complete knockout of a series. We talked a little bit about season 2, I think, in the
A
process of
little
us watching it.
bit. Yeah.
But we just wanted to kind of use this episode to kind of touch on some of just a full spoiler talk for the Pit season 2. So if you haven't seen it, I mean, I think both of us would say you should absolutely go check it out. I mean, you've heard it won a bunch of awards. It's very very strongly reviewed and respected. But now it's time for us to discuss it. So season 2, I think, is an interesting kind of season of change for Robbie as a character.
Yeah.
You've got a new attending, you've got like AI being introduced, at least discussed as an idea inside of the show, but it's also very, very much a reality in the real world.
Oh.
Just new rules because of the new attending and because of the budgetary concerns and AI and all the things. So it's just a changing world for an old man, and you can tell that he's kind of on the brink of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I think
Yeah.
as the season unfolds, I think you're very much realize that that's absolutely something he's considering. Even though everybody continues to remind him, like, this is where you're meant to be. And I think that's,
Yeah.
but I think it's just an interesting launch point for a second season for a show like this. I think this season is definitely more about like the doctors,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is an interesting change from the first season. But some of it is because I think a friend of mine made an interesting point about he also really loves the show. I actually don't even know this person. I know their Discord name. They're in a group with me and some other
Oh.
people. I've never met this person, but they made a really interesting point about, I don't even know their name, to be honest. But they made a really interesting point about the fact that like all the patient experience in this season is more a bunch of different examples of people that can't take care or refuse to take care of themselves, and or are too stubborn or just physically unable to respect the medical treatment that's recommended for them, or just at least like do maybe what's in their best interest health wise, you know. And sometimes like the case of the cancer patient, I think is one of the better like character arcs
Yeah.
in the season. Was just a patient that's just like, I just can't do this anymore. Like I need to, you know, and the doctors struggling with the decision, with
Yeah.
accepting the decision that the patient's made, and ultimately accepting that you can't force anybody to do anything. I feel like that's like very much what this season's about. Like just accepting those things that you
It's
can't
like
control.
where's Robbie's arc in a way too, because
Sure.
he doesn't want to do, or he doesn't want to do anymore, but it's something that he's compelled to do because he's good at doing it. So I think
Mhm.
that's that. But yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's absolutely true, though. I think, and some of it for him was there's this struggle of like, I wish I had had a family by now or settled down, or,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, I think I just love the VA character, the guy who, the former vet that works, that like tells Robbie, like,
Yeah, yeah.
I forget his name, but that character's just
The
great. I
actor,
think
I like him.
what's that?
Sean Hannity is the actor.
Okay.
Yeah,
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 he's very good in this and
yeah.
for
I don't like.
the small screen time. And he
Yeah,
just comes in and tells Robbie everything that he needs to hear, even though he doesn't want to hear. I think that's an interesting.
yeah,
But yeah, there's a point where I forget who he tells. I think it's one of the like younger, like the R3s or something,
yeah, yeah,
tells them like, I thought that this is where I was going to be in life. I never thought that I would still be here doing this, right? And it's like,
yeah.
I think the VA, the character, the vet, tells him like, you know, like, no, dude, like you've saved countless lives. You've made an actual tangible difference in the world, and that's something most people don't do. You know, it's like you got to stop focusing on what you don't have, and appreciate, you know, the opportunity you've been given, and, you know, the success you've had, and the, you know, even though day to day is brutal and exhausting, and, you know, the again, it's like always, it's just never, it's relentless. I just think that just there's so much depth to this show and these characters. And again, he's just one character of example, but the way that they apply those themes and those ideas to everyone in it, you know, these characters, even the R3 that I think he was speaking to, there's a point where she's really struggling with what decision to make as far as how to go study or where to go intern. And he's just kind of like, you're going to be great wherever you decide to go. Don't stop worrying about it. Like he tells her that, and it's
Yeah.
ultimately the advice that he needs to take for himself.
Okay.
Um, but again, like every character has some kind of acceptance that needs to occur. And I think it's an interesting parallel to the real world right now. I think the biggest struggle we have as human beings is, you
Yeah.
know, accepting the things that you legitimately cannot control,
That's
and being content with what you have. Ultimately, it's a dumb, simple thing to say, but there's, I think, a lot of truth, and,
yeah.
you know, I know for myself personally, at least, uh,
I mean,
it's just fantastic.
for everybody, I think that's where they focused on that theme, because it's
Yeah,
true. Like with all this craziness going on, you just got to worry about the what's going on with you and the now and taking care of yourself and others. And I thought that's a nice driving point, like you were saying. It makes sense.
sure. And I think like every character in the show looks physically exhausted
So, oh yeah,
by the external
but,
circumstances, you know, that I mean, some of it's just like the nature of their work, and, you know, I
yeah,
mean, it's an exhaustive career, you know. I can't even imagine. I could certainly never do that job, I don't think.
yeah,
Um but, you know, ultimately though, I think if you had to pinpoint one of the biggest problems in the world right now, I think it is contentment with, it's just the acceptance of what is bad and
yeah,
what is good, and all of the things that you have to deal with as a human. And I think, I just have never seen a show. I feel like I've never seen a show tackle these big ideas, but then grounded in like an everyday
oh yeah,
drama that feels so realistic and human, and compassionate towards all the people involved. And the charge nurse Dana also is just an
yeah,
amazing, just a force in this season. I don't know if I'm certain she got nominated for an Emmy for it, but
yeah.
uh,
Almost,
just an amazing performance. And I'm so glad that we got more. She was the best character in the show from the entire run of it, but I think I love seeing more of her.
yeah,
Um, I like the way that it ratchets up the tension with the cyber attack and the ice agents, and just the power outage, and, you know, really pushes the limits of the external environment for all these characters. And, um, you know, just there's the intern that's super hyper confident at the beginning, and is kind of like feuding with one of the other interns about, you know, just trying to show off how intelligent he
yeah,
is, and then he just gets the shit kicked out of him over the course of the series. Um, And it's just it's a really interesting start to finish for a character like that. And
Yeah,
I think that his ending is kind of heartbreaking. Um, yeah, I loved it so much. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you could follow up the first season with
yeah.
something.
Do you think that season two is a little better than season one?
I think they're both
They're both
excellent
equal.
in
Yeah. Okay.
very different ways. You know, again, I think the first season's far more about the patient care and the loss of oneself in that. And I think the season two is far more about taking care of yourself instead, and when you can't take care of your patients ultimately. So I think they're very different thematically, and I think they're still both masterful in what they're trying to execute. And they're just thrilling and funny, and it's just a wonderful, just an amazing piece of television. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I agree with that. Yeah, HBO did another great show, with talk
yeah,
about Sopranos and everything that
sure,
they've so yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
it's
I
up
agree.
there with the best.
It's just a master class of acting, writing, pace, tone, even
Sure,
the direction, it's like
yeah.
it's such a good show.
I love the way that there's like a tangible sense of place. I love that one of the
Yeah,
notes I have actually is the way the show stitches scenes together with like, for instance, somebody's like got their hands in a patient and then it rack focuses from them to another employee across the room, and then we just pick up with that scene. Like it's just seamless, dude. It's really it's so clever in its construction, and that's more the execution of its ideas than
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it really, but that gives you a tangible sense of place, and like that you feel like you've lived inside this room and this space,
yeah,
in a way that, it also contributes to the relentless pace of the show. And,
yeah.
yeah, the director of photography on this, I think let me see, I hate to talk about, especially this concept without knowing a name, um, but I want to say, this is really good radio here, me googling this person's name. But I want to give them credit because
I
it's
like
worth doing. Let me see. Writers. God, there's like it's got cast and crew first, or the directors and cast first before the cinematographers
always at the
on
bottom.
IMDb. And yeah, there's like 4,000 cast members in the show. Cinematographer Joanna Soelho. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Um, but just an amazing job just the use of like handheld camera work, and
Yeah,
then again the scene construction and the visual component of that. I mean, it's just an amazing technical achievement in every way. So she was like the sole DP on the show, and
oh, is
uh,
she?
yeah, yeah. I mean, really, really great work.
Yeah,
She also did The Rookie, and she's got some decent like TV credits, but this is definitely the biggest
yeah,
thing she's worked on. I believe, at least looking at the what I can see here. But yeah, shout out because I mean, really great work also.
yeah,
But anyway, the pit. I think also just the conclusion. I think the final scene with Robbie holding the child, and
yeah.
it reminds me actually of all things of Sorry Baby, the ending of Sorry Baby, where
Oh, yeah.
she essentially, and it's not just because it's a baby, it's just the concept of that scene. Both those scenes is these two characters coming to the conclusion of acceptance in life and all of its ugliness, and then sharing that with just an innocent child. I think is just a really quiet, intimate, brilliant way to end the show. So I don't know.
Oh,
I assume we'll get another season of it, but
oh, yeah. Why not? Right?
yeah, just a knockout. I mean, it was like when it ended, we're like, man, I can't believe it's over. At least
But
for now.
Ron always says, "We gotta wait another year," and I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes.
But I do think the concept of the show, you could easily execute another season of this. I
Oh
don't
yeah, no,
know.
I don't
I don't know
see.
what that would look
I
like, but
don't
I
think.
do think,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think he's happy with the way the show's going, and yeah, I don't see why another season wouldn't be produced. Yeah,
Anyway, we then watched Widow's Bay though, which I completely different show. Also
yeah.
so fun. I had such a great time with this show. I don't know if
That's
you do you know
Apple.
anything
Right?
about it.
That's
What's
Apple
that?
TV.
Yes, it is on Apple TV. They've got some knockouts recently. I mean, they were really kind of putting
Yeah.
together a nice catalog of stuff. This being I think one of my favorites of their shows. I'm trying to think because I watch all this stuff on Plex. I don't even know what else. I mean, I've seen like Ted Lasso. I'm trying to like I just want to look at their list here though. I mean, Severance. Margot's got money problems we talked about last week. Like they're really starting to kind of come out with some, you
Shrinking.
know. I haven't seen Shrinking yet, but that
Yeah,
looks good.
nominated too for a bunch of stuff, so I wanted to see it.
But yeah, Severance Silo apparently is pretty
But
solid. They've got a pretty decent. They're starting to, now they're just gonna double the price of the subscription probably. We've added so much value. Uh,
well, we're lucky with our phone service. We get it free. That and Netflix free.
mm.
I'm good with that.
Well, I'm content with Plex, but yeah,
I know everything up Plex. So.
don't quote me on this, or don't submit my information to. Uh, I'm watching it all legally, I promise.
Yeah.
But yeah, Widow's Bay though is a new Apple TV show starring Matthew Rhys
Yeah.
and a handful of quirky characters. But it kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks
I'm ready
some
to
way.
quit the new you say that.
There's moments in it where like a character will walk in and say something really silly, and Matthew Rhys is kind of playing both the straight man and there's a lot of physical comedy from his character. But yeah, it's a quirky town. It's like a fishing island off the coast of New England somewhere. And they're trying to make it the next Martha's Vineyard is his whole dream. Matthew Rhys plays the mayor of this small town, and yeah, he's just in charge of dealing with all of the crazy, quirky individuals on this place. And there's something spooky about. There's an apparent curse that all of the townsfolk believe. Is responsible for all the mysterious disappearances and just horrifying, violent occurrences on the islands in the island's history. And it uses this to comedic effect. Like it's a show that has these really just violent, gruesome concepts that somebody will like be telling him a story that's just really absurd, like about cannibalism or something, and it'll cut to Matthew Rhys, and he's just like, what? Like there's he just does the perfect straight man,
Yeah.
like Michael from Arrested Development. Just it's not quite that outlandish, but
Yeah.
there's big moments of physical comedy and just, I mean, bordering on slapstick comedy at times. But yeah, it's just a fun. I'm a sucker for like town folklore.
Yeah.
I guess you could call that folk horror. I don't think that's quite what this is, but it reminds me of something like Dredge, the game that I've probably mentioned a few times on the show. But it's kind of like a uh what's the writer that does all the science fiction creepy the from forever ago, the one that has all the stories about like sea monsters and shit. What's his name?
Oh,
Lovecraftian.
oh my God.
Lovecraft, HP Lovecraft.
Oh my God.
I'm saying it right now. Can you hear me? HP Lovecraft.
Lovecraft. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of like it's very Lovecraftian in its setup, and just that there's some rumor that something has happened in the past, and then the mayor goes to investigate whether or not there's truth to that matter. And there's so many instances where it pays off that setup in really fun ways. It's also just shot very well, and technically, for kind of a slapstick goofy comedy, it's also very thrilling and horrifying.
Oh, okay.
And hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got Stephen Root, who I just love, and
Yeah.
everything. It's just great. So yeah, Widow's Bay. We watched it in like a weekend. It was like just impossible not to be excited to watch it. And
There's only one season, right?
just one season right now.
And they're
Created
half
by
hour episodes or 45 minutes.
they're like 40 minutes. Yeah, 40
Okay.
40 to 35 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
But it's
Right.
from
From the
Katie
bit.
Dippold. I don't know if I'm sure that's not how you pronounce her name. But Katie Dippold is the showrunner and creator. She wrote like a bunch of like The Heat and Ghostbusters, the more recent Ghostbusters, and she had a bunch of credits. She was an executive story editor on Parks and Rec and wrote a lot of the episodes of that. So she's got a comedy background.
Yeah.
This is definitely horror comedy, but I think yeah, she's also my favorite story about her though is I saw a real. Have you've seen the photo of the person at a party that's just sitting in the corner dressed as the Babadook?
Okay.
It's a hilarious meme. It's just the concept is so fucking funny. It's just like it's a costume party where no one else dressed up and they're just in this
Yeah.
like horrifying rendition of the Babadook. That's her apparently. And she's there's a reel of her talking about that experience of like going, like everybody's like, yeah, we're all gonna dress up, and then no one did, or they didn't, just kind of like showed up in like, a hat or something really basic, and she like put together full blown makeup, and then the shot that became the meme was them watching like an hour and a half long movie, and she's just in full makeup, and it's really really funny. Um, but yeah, there's the other character that I just love, the best character, and Matthew Rhys is amazing, but
Yeah,
I think is it Kato Flynn? Let me see. Yeah, Kato Flynn. I don't know what else she's been in, but she plays Patricia, and she has her. There's an episode that's focused just on her that I think is wonderful. It's one of the best episodes of the whole season. There's actually two episodes that are kind of focused mostly on her. She was in Landscapers, which I really love. I guess I've seen her in that. I don't remember her, but
yeah.
um, yeah, she's just really funny and kind of again a quirky character that you're really rooting for, and yeah, it's just an amazing show. I don't really have much else to say, but um, yeah, I think Matthew Rhys
Yeah.
also his character is like you're rooting for him to be successful because he's such a charismatic individual and
Yeah.
he's such a hopeful character in an island of just doom and misery. And so I think like it's just an easy dynamic to really get on board with and be excited for at least him to be successful, which I think is kind of a driving force for the show. So yeah,
How
just
many?
great.
How many episodes?
I think it's like 10,
10.
8 or 10.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not too. It didn't overstay its welcome.
yeah.
I think it concludes very well. Just a fun series. So I'm if they end up making more, I'd be excited to see more for sure. Which I think it's been a pretty big hit. So I think we'll probably
Yeah.
see.
And
I
it
don't know
has
how the
getting a lot of press for the finale and everything. So yeah.
and I don't. I think they could do either or. I don't think it's like they didn't leave it open ended and they didn't
Oh,
tie it
okay.
tie it with a bow either. So
Yeah,
maybe that's a minor spoiler, but yeah. So I mean I think you could certainly write a season two. I don't know if it was written for that or not,
yeah.
but yeah, just a great show. So anyway, that's it for television. We've got some. I feel like I've been talking this whole time, but Carlos didn't see anything other than Blue Heron.
Oh,
So
so you're going to be talking about, but I'll feed off you. How about
all
that?
right, all right. Well, I know. I mean, obviously, you're a big Evil Dead fan, so we could talk
Yeah,
about that next. I saw Evil Dead Burn, which is the latest in the kind of retread modern series of Evil Dead. I mean, because you had
yeah.
the original trilogy, and then they came back in what 2012 was that the
The re-
remake?
the remake, reimagining.
Fede Alvarez's remake, which I like. I actually really
Yeah,
like. I honestly like all of these movies, the
yeah,
more recent ones. I'm hard pressed to say that they're Evil Dead movies, which I think has always been a topic of
yeah.
debate.
That's been the talk that do you can you consider them that or whatever? But
It's mostly
um,
just because of the tone. I mean, they're all
yeah,
like they've lost the slapstick comedy component, and I
yes.
think um that for me is my favorite thing about Evil Dead. I
Oh yeah,
love,
you
you
love
know,
Evil Dead too. That's your favorite,
yeah,
and that's like that's very slapstick. But that's what he originated from, Three Stooges type thing.
sure.
So and like I mentioned, Crime Wave. Crime Wave is a lot like the Three Stooges, but yeah, I mean I know that's your favorite one, Evil Dead too. So
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately though, I was thrilled by every Evil Dead that they've released since then. They're all
yeah,
more visceral than most of the other franchises that are out there right now, like Scream or, I mean, it's far less plot driven in general than any of those, like Evil Dead has always been. I mean, most of it's just kind of a carnival ride of set pieces or concepts instead of like a true narrative driven experience, like something like a Scream movie would be, or other, Conjuring or any of those kind of franchises. It's not very lore driven.
yeah, yeah.
It says my internet connection is
Yeah, I was gonna
unstable.
say you went out, you froze, and then you came.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you was talking all that time. Okay.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's just I mean, I think this new series it's definitely like a gore fest to some degree. It
Okay.
borders on torture porn, all of these newer
Uh,
movies, I think,
I
to
was
some
gonna say
degree.
the last one did that really well. So
But they're fun. They
yeah,
I don't I they're kind of ugly and cheaply made. You've got nobody casts and but
yeah,
I mean I at least I walk out of it going that was fun. Most of them I don't know if I watched the last one again. I felt like I kind of had what I needed from it.
yeah. First time.
I've seen the 2012 one a few times. I did like that one a little more, I would say. It's a little more grounded and gets a little less cartoonish
Cartoonish.
until the very end. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're fine. They're nothing to write home about, but they're also probably one of the better horror franchises still. And maybe that's just because most of the other ones are not good at all. So anyway, it brings us to Evil Dead Burn, which kind of I think ties into the ending of the last one, but it's been a long time since I saw the last one. I don't remember
Yeah.
the lake that I think is tangentially related. I
Yeah.
saw the trailer for the Evil Dead Rise recently, and I think there's a shot that is related to this one, but I don't remember how it ties together. I don't think it matters, but ultimately, um, yeah, there's a woman who's kind of abusive husband um, passes away in a drunk driving accident. There's a scene at the very beginning where they're in a club and this abusive gentleman, not he's not a gentleman, he's an asshole. This abusive asshole is just like berate, like it's like the core friend group like talking in a club. I think he's the club owner, the abusive husband, and they're all just like kind of arguing with one another, at least trying to. I don't know. It's a weird conversation. At one point, I leaned over to Marissa and I was like, I can't wait for all these characters to die, and it's because they're just. And it is a problem. I think most of these characters are pretty unlikable and insufferable to watch. And so I think the stuff the movie doesn't do well is when any of them start talking about anything. Thankfully though, this is like a 90-minute movie, which hey, I like those. If you're gonna be if you're in this genre in general, I think the movie should be 90 minutes. Let's just say
Yeah.
that.
Horror film doesn't need to be more than an hour and a half.
We
Yeah.
definitely need more 90-minute horror films or
Yeah.
90-minute movies in general. But yeah, I think this one doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's gotten mixed general responses,
Yeah.
but still mostly positive, I would say. I think, but I think the characters are insufferable. It's just, but it doesn't focus. It doesn't spend a lot of time focusing on the plot. But yeah, essentially, just this guy dies in a car accident, and then spooky reanimation things start happening, and yeah, then you get your Evil Dead movie, and it's just kind of a carnival ride of set pieces. But I do
Yeah.
think they're executed well. I think that honestly, of the negative reviews I've watched about this movie, I think people haven't been as fair to the technical, despite the fact that the movie is pretty ugly. It is kind of that like. Remember like 2005 or whenever Saw came out and everything was
Yeah.
green for like a,
Yeah.
like it was
Right. It
like
had that tone.
let's
Yeah.
shoot everything with fluorescent lights
Or
and
it's
just
like,
it's just like some of it was the Matrix. It was the Matrix, then Saw, then
oh,
everything followed. This kind of falls into that category of like muted. Just it looks like a Zack Snyder film. It's not a good looking movie, but there's sequences in it that are stunning. I think there's a bathroom scene in particular that I think is like legitimately awesome. Like I remember like audibly going, "Whoa, that's cool!" Like there's a couple times actually. So I'm
yeah.
curious to see what this director does next because I do think there's just some really fun, well executed sequences. It doesn't necessarily add up to much. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as like, I don't think
Well,
you walk.
the part three, I guess, go Evil Dead Wrath. They just completed, and
Oh,
that
okay.
comes. Yeah, that comes out next year.
Is
So,
he directing that, or is it somebody else?
oh, it's funny that you say that. I don't know. I have the feeling that he is a different director,
Mm.
but I mean, I don't know if you want to check your thing, but yeah, no, that just completed, and they're like editing it. They wanted to put it out for Halloween, but they're like they want to take a little time,
Mm.
bring it out for like whatever April, May. But yeah, that one's already done. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a direct sequel. You're I mean, I know from what you're saying, I don't know if it's open ended
Yeah,
or
I mean, there's
okay,
it's a franchise, so they definitely keep it open, but it's not like I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? These things are all so loosely strung together. It doesn't matter. It's like this one's in a decrepit mansion, and this one's in a high rise, and this one. I mean, who
right.
cares? None of that matters. But I do think, ultimately though, it's 90 minutes. It plays like a relentless carnival ride with some really well executed sequences,
Okay.
really unlikable characters, and just a complete lack of charisma. Or I mean, it's just like I think that's the biggest weakness of this film. But ultimately, I had a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
know.
If
It
you
might be my favorite, actually, of the modern trilogy, but it's not saying much because none of them are great.
yeah, no, no, but I got what you're saying. Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, yeah, there's some fun
Better,
sequences I think are
better than
worth seeing.
Evil Dead Rise, you're saying?
Yeah, they're all about the same for me, but yeah, I
Oh,
would say there's a couple moments in this that are technically impressive enough to
okay, okay. So
where
technically,
I mean, again, I think there was like two or three sequences where I was like, there's one big oneer that they do in the middle of it that I was really impressed by. There's a point where a character gets picked up on like on ropes or like as like being lifted, and I just thought it was like a really cool visual. There's some moments I really liked. But again, it's like I don't know if I'd care to ever watch it again. So that's yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
There you go.
it could be worse. Let's say that.
Right, right. You liked it, and that's all that matters, right?
I had a good time. I when we walked out of the theater, I was like, that was fun. So it's not
Oh, it was just
scary
you,
though. I think
Marissa.
that's some, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and I think somebody else saw it with us. Maybe Gary. I think it was Gary. Gary went and saw it. He's a big Evil Dead fan.
yeah.
Yeah, so we went and saw it and we all had a good time. So I mean ultimately, yeah, I don't think it needs to be a lot, and I don't think it is a lot, but that's something. So
People who know Jeremy's reviews, that's something, bro.
I've spent 90 minutes watching far worse things in the past
Yeah,
month.
that's that. Yeah, I agree
Cough,
with
cough, iron lung. You know,
you.
I
Yeah,
would rather watch this two more
I,
times than watch
I was,
that one more time.
yeah,
Uh,
Iron Lung was a movie. I agree with you. It should have been an hour and a half, if not less. But yeah.
I do think one thing that's important to say though is I don't think these movies are scary. I don't think
Yeah, I
they're
was going to ask you that, but I already got your answer. Yeah. So
yeah, it's definitely more like black carnival stuff than like more jump scare. It's not all jump scares, but I do think it's more that type of horror than
yeah,
like truly unsettling. And I think the whole abusive husband thing is really just kind of we've seen all that before. I don't think that adds anything interesting to the series, but
yeah.
it's also harmless. It's fine. Whatever. Who cares?
No, no, I got you. Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk more about things I liked a lot. The Invite is the next one, which director Olivia Wilde, who I'm a huge fan of Booksmart. I did
Yeah.
not see Don't Worry, Darling. What was the
Oh, you
second
never
one called?
saw that?
I got negative reviews and then kind of got stuck on streaming, and I just never. I was like, I don't know. I mean, it looked fine, but
I enjoyed it. That's another one of those kind of like her Shyamalan type film where there's a big twist at the end, you know.
sure.
But you see it coming, but it is interesting. But yeah, but I mean, I
Like
don't.
a fine streaming title probably, but
I
I
think
heard
that
there was a ton of
I
issues on
like
the
for you
set.
to tell me what you think of it. I think it was good, not better than Booksmart. I mean, it's like
I mean, but that's
so
that's the
opposite.
super bad of I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
past 5 10
exactly.
years.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's I
it
think
was
Booksmart's
more,
amazing. So
yeah,
yeah,
sci-fi thriller was
yeah, it looked
third.
stylish and well
It
directed at
was.
least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think this is a perfect like I truly believe, and I don't know the behind the scenes drama of Don't Worry, Darling, but I truly believe like for how well directed The Invite is and Booksmart.
Yeah.
I truly believe, knowing that there was some like studio meddling and on-set problems on Don't Worry, Darling,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that movie might have been a complete victim to that. But I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just a theory,
Yeah.
because the invite is so strong. I mean, this is like it's just a really great like four-parter or four-hander. Like just like
Yeah.
kind of it feels like um it reminds me of something. I got a lot of comparisons, but it
Yeah.
reminds me like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is one in particular that I think it reminds me a lot of. It's like a couple inviting another couple over, and then just through the course of the night, just revelatory things
Yeah.
show you the true colors of both parties, and it also reminds me of Before Midnight a lot, and that it's essentially an hour and a half long argument. It
Yeah.
opens with a 20-minute argument that's so funny and really just again in the way that Before Midnight is, where you're just like, wow, this feels like a couple I know arguing, with no one there, and then the moment they stopped, or the argument is interrupted by the doorbell ringing, and Edward Norton and what's her name,
Oh God, don't. Why am I Penelope Cruz?
Penelope
Penelope.
Cruz. Yeah, we saw her in the Bride. She's fine, but that character is really dumb in that movie. She's much better in this, or this character is much better at least. She's good in both things. I think that's her, right? Isn't that she the Bride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
She's great in this though. Everybody is so good in this movie. Edward Norton, refreshing to see him. I think Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen have both never been better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, yeah, it's just really, it's written by Rashida Jones and Will McCormick, who I'm not familiar with. You've heard of Rashida Jones though, obviously. But it's just a subtle, clever construction of a script, but then also the dialogue and just the characters are so well drawn, and it's so often funny and heartbreaking, and just it just an emotional roller coaster, and a really fun kind of just back and forth between these two couples. And I just think these characters are so well drawn, and the way they play off one another
Yeah.
reminds me of something that you would see in a theater. It just feels kind of stagey, like kind of the other comparison I was going to make is The Humans, which I really love. Also, it's a movie about a family coming for Thanksgiving dinner. That was based on a Tony Award winning play.
Play.
And this feels very similar. Just characters that are afraid of what comes next.
Yeah.
And The Humans is that way also. It's a bunch of characters just dreading. It's just like filled with dread, and the way that they all come together and interact in interesting ways. Um, yeah, the script is brilliant. I think the performances are amazing. It's just really good. There's a line early on where the way that the script tells you these big ideas with really just one-off lines. Like there's a moment where Olivia Wilde's character gets really emotional about the prospect of like their daughter going off to college. This is early on in the film, and Seth Rogen's like, "Well, I mean, she's only 12. Like you got, it's like it's not coming up anytime soon." And she continues to say that like once that happens, I'll be alone. And it tells us so much about where their relationship is at, where without saying anything really. I mean,
Yeah.
at least not like inherently saying anything. There's so many moments like that in this film that really just. I just love the way that it characterizes these couples, and each character kind of has their time to shine. Edward Norton has an amazing monologue towards the end of the film that I think is just really brilliant. He's also just, you forget how good Edward Norton is, like as an
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's both a laugh out loud, like cringe comedy, but also just a brilliant exploration of resentment and self-destructive thinking patterns inside of a relationship that kind of keep people from being happy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then the ending is just quiet and unforgettable, and yeah, just this is one of my favorites in the year. I think it's just a really strong, tight directorial work, and just a great piece of screenwriting. So yeah, The Invite is like, I just think it's so fun, and we laughed so consistently, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's a high regard. I'm
I mean,
definitely.
it's not the kind of movie for everybody, but I do think, like, again, I love Before Midnight. The Before
Yeah.
trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies. That ain't for everybody. I think this is a little more accessible because of the cast and because of the tone of it. It is
Yeah.
far more comedic. For those that don't know, the movie's about again, the couple that gets invited over to dinner. There's a in the trailer. This is not. I mean, I think it's kind of a spoiler to some degree, but they're swingers is the revelation, and so the yeah, there's this idea of there's an invitation, so to speak. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, that's a fun concept for a movie, and I think
Of
it
course.
explores those ideas very well, and the way that relates to both relationships is interesting. But yeah, I don't know if that's for everybody, so I don't
You
know.
went with Carissa then?
She really liked it,
Yeah.
and I've heard good things from a lot of people I've talked to about it. So, and the general response has been very strong. So I think it's pretty crowd pleasing.
Yeah.
Um, don't go see it with your parents. I don't think it's a good date movie. I think it's very much a movie about people in a relationship that are
Yeah.
miserable. But it's great. I think it's really great. So yeah,
Good.
yeah,
I'm excited.
there's been a really fun stretch of stuff in theaters this past like couple months, and these were definitely this, and I also think the Odyssey is yeah, so which is what I know I'm not trying not to talk about spoilers, so I'll
Yeah.
avoid that. I mean, ultimately, there's a couple things to talk about with the Odyssey. One is, which we kind of briefly got into, is the formats of the film.
Yeah.
So, Nolan shot this on, well, and Hoyt van Hoytema, one of the best working cinematographers. He does all the Nolan stuff, and he's done like Ad Astra, which is not a great movie, but his work in it's
He's a
great, just
blur.
visually stunning film. Yeah, he's a great cinematographer, and like Interstellar is one of my favorite pieces of visual work in a long time, and he did that. So yeah, shot by Hoyt van Hoytema, directed by Christopher Nolan, all shot on true IMAX film, every frame of it apparently.
Yeah.
which is the first film ever, I believe.
Yeah.
Why why you would do that? I mean, I honestly think you could shoot this on VistaVision and then it be able to be seen more broadly.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, because VistaVision's a similar kind of
Yeah.
vertical film format, but I think, and it looks amazing in IMAX also, and it's 70 millimeter film, has the
Film.
same like resolute, not quite the same resolution, but huge format though. Like movies like One Battle After Another. You had The Brutalist was shot on that, and those are gorgeous. I think that's like as good as cinema can look.
Yeah.
I don't care about IMAX. Let me just say that. I do think it's a stunning visual achievement and technical achievement, the Odyssey. Um, and I saw it on a fake IMAX screen, which at least isn't the cropped version of the film.
Okay. I was gonna say, I know we discussed it earlier. Well, when we talked about it before the show, explain to the people what fake IMAX is to you, I
Well,
guess.
it's all about aspect ratio, which is a really
Yeah.
boring thing to talk about. But so 70 millimeter is just the format of film it was shot on. IMAX 70 millimeter is another thing because you can have a 70 millimeter film that's not an IMAX.
Yeah.
IMAX 70 millimeter film is like one of the biggest formats that exists. It's the highest. I think it's
Yeah.
the highest resolution. I'm sure I could give you
Oh,
numbers.
it is, yeah.
I don't even know the numbers. I also don't care about these things that much. Personally, I mean, I love a movie that's on 70 millimeter. Like I think it like The Master is a film that's shot on 70 millimeter, which is just it's a movie that's all people talking in
Okay.
rooms, but it's like it just
Hateful
the
Silence of
texture of it is like there's a scene. I always can talk about the scene in the elevator with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And it's like
yeah,
him in the middle with all these people surrounding him, and it's just an amazing. Just the amount of detail in that shot and the color and the richness of it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I love the format, but some of it's because these are like great filmmakers utilizing this format to the to maximize their potential. But you know, I think they could make great films on any format. So
Oh,
that's
that,
the
well,
weird.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, the benefit of the vertical or the IMAX format for like something like the Odyssey in particular, I think they utilize it really well in particular sequences visually, and the size of the frame and the shape of the frame really contribute to the vastness of like the landscapes and the one of the greatest scenes in recent memory. The Cyclops sequence is just an
Yeah.
amazing. It's an amazing visual sequence that really benefits from the verticality of the
Oh,
frame. Um, I think you could see it in the crop version. It would still be great. The movie is an
well, yeah.
extraordinary technical achievement that you can see on any format, and I think it will.
And I think that's why I brought it up because
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see it Sunday. And I was saying that to you because they have 70 millimeter, they have IMAX, they have 3D, and then they have like the laser vision, which is basic regular, you know. So that's why if you say that, then any theater I
Yeah.
go to is
Well, no, actually, I think you're going to AMC though, right?
yeah,
AMC has a fake IMAX theater, and that is the shape of an IMAX screen,
yeah.
just smaller. So it's at
Oh,
least the
yeah,
right shape. And
yeah,
the reason the shape matters is because if you're trying to take like let's say remember the big box TVs, the 4x3 looks like
yeah,
this for
yeah.
those watching at home. It looks like this.
Yeah.
Traditional widescreen is like this, and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's shorter and wider.
Yeah.
So most theatrical screens are in like 235 or 240 or something in that general aspect ratio. It's a much flatter frame, and it's like why letter I don't know whatever you want to call it. It's
Yeah.
ultimately that's what most movies are.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like the frame that we're in right now, if you're
Yeah.
for the sake of home. But ultimately, though, if you take a big square image and you try and put it on that screen, you'd have to shrink it down so much that you would end up like losing half
Losing, yeah.
of
Okay.
a traditional 240 aspect ratio screen is my understanding. I mean, I don't know how else you would do it.
So I
You'd have to
see it on an IMAX screening.
I would suggest seeing it on a IMAX screen, not 70
Yeah.
millimeter.
Okay.
So if you look it up, I think well, again, there's IMAX 70 millimeter, which no theater in Houston has. That's a
Yeah.
format that I think you have to drive to Dallas for.
Yeah.
IMAX 70 millimeter is the biggest and best format to see this movie on. Good
Yeah.
luck getting tickets. But IMAX is at least the same size, but shrunk down. So it's
Oh,
still a big ass screen, and it's
yeah.
still the correct shape of screen. So you're getting the full image. It's not being cropped. It's just being
Yeah.
scaled down a little bit.
Okay. All right. So
70 millimeter
Yeah,
is
no.
not IMAX. The
Yes.
like so when unless it says IMAX 70 millimeter, the
Yeah.
70 millimeter screen I believe is actually smaller. Let me see. I'm gonna have to look this up. This is the most boring conversation. I can't imagine anyone wants to listen to
No,
this.
it's not.
Yeah, the
Oh,
aspect ratio. So 70 millimeter non IMAX runs vertically through a standard projector. It's similar to the letterbox aspect ratio, but it's 220, so it's actually shorter. So
order.
if you watch the non IMAX 70 millimeter, you'll be watching something that is actually cropped more than a traditional screening,
Yeah. Okay.
is my understanding.
No, but I mean, you might be right. Some people like tune out, but I mean, if they want to see the movie the way it's intended, they know that to go see it on the IMAX and not whatever they. I forgot what Cinemark calls it, but the regular theaters, whatever
I
they.
actually have the numbers here too to give you a comparison. So, IMAX True 70 millimeter film,
Yeah.
the gold standard, kind of that's like the biggest option. It's a 12 to 8K equivalent resolution, right? So it's estimated to be like, you have 4K. This is 18K or it's somewhere in the range, right? It's 4 times the resolution. It's
Yeah.
not even, it's more than that. It's a huge jump in resolution. It's the screen size is apparently it can be projected on screens up to 8 stories tall, so it's got a
Oh,
ton of resolution. It can be blown up on a massive screen. IMAX digital laser uses 4K or dual 2K projection, so it's a significant drop in resolution, but it's at least the right shape, and
but it's
that's
yeah. Okay, that's
to
cool.
me all that matters. Because again, when you go to a traditional XD theater or there's other theaters that are a little larger in aspect ratio than a 240 or 230 or whatever 235. Yeah, I would suggest going out of your way to go to even a fake IMAX theater, but an actual IMAX theater,
Yeah.
and don't get 70 millimeter and IMAX confused.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Yes, but
70
that's
millimeter and
oh,
70 millimeter IMAX confused.
because if people are going to go see this movie in theaters, then they might as well see it the way it's intended, as opposed to
Yeah.
just So that's what I'm
And
saying.
I'm glad, honestly, I'm really glad that people are
Yeah.
interested in this stuff at all. I said to Marissa at one point, I think I'm very happy that movies like we talked about this with Obsession and Backrooms, like the amount of social media reels I see talking about the making of and the behind the scenes of both Backrooms and Obsession, the just the general public interest in the craft of cinema is a really great thing. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we're talking about aspect ratios like in the news
Yeah.
right now. I mean, that's really cool. So I could care less about aspect ratios. It's one of the things about my job I don't care about. But ultimately though, yeah, you don't like for me, I don't want to see the crop version of the Odyssey.
Exactly. That's why I asked, so I know
Yeah.
what to watch. Yeah, when I go
So
Sunday.
hopefully, without a super technical explanation, which I don't even know, that at least gives you the overview. So,
Yeah.
but as far as the movie goes, I
Yeah.
do think it's also very great. I think, I mean, I'm known for being a Nolan fan. I mean, I think I don't think he's a guy who's missed. I think there's some script problems in his movies occasionally. I think Dark Knight Rises recently I watched and was like, God, this script's dumb as rocks.
What I tell you, I've been saying
I
forever.
Dark Knight though isn't. I think Dark Knight is still really great. We
Yeah.
we always contend about that
Yeah.
one.
Right about that.
Um, but
Yeah.
the spectacle of his movies for me, like I just like it's so rare to go to a theater and see like I think of the 18-wheeler sequence in Dark Knight where he flips the
Yeah.
18. It's just one of the great moments of cinema. Inception has 14 of those moments. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I think that movie's I mean, regardless of whether or not you want to get like lost in its plot, I think the movie kind of occasionally does. But the spectacle of it and the scale of that production and project and the boldness of the idea and the execution of it and the fucking hotel sequence where they
Yeah.
spin the room. I mean, it's just an amazing technical set piece. And
Yeah.
and set pieces aren't everything,
Yeah.
obviously, but I think he delivers on the character components of these big blockbuster. Interstellar has numerous sequences that I think are spectacular, but then it also handles the human components of that really well. I don't particularly love the idea of like love being the thing to
Yeah,
solve the fifth dimension or whatever the fuck. But I do think this that sequence though, where he's
yeah,
on ropes and is a really the emotion is there, the human emotion is there. So he does both very well. He just finds a nice balance of being, delivering big blockbuster spectacle with some emotional connection, and I think he's done that well forever. And I think the Oppenheimer is a movie I think is I think he's matured quite a bit as a filmmaker,
yeah,
with things like Oppenheimer, which is a 3-hour courtroom drama, but one that has complex implications on life as we know it. And I think the exploration of those ideas, it was really interesting to see. I think the Odyssey is one of those. It's a book that's what is a 700 BC or some shit. So it's like, I don't even know if it was written down originally. I think it was
yeah.
like spoken down, so who knows what the original text of it, how that relates to where it originated. But yeah, it's just this universal story about um someone suffering and coming to I mean, I don't even remember the thematic, resolution of the original text, but I read it in high school, and I do remember the big set pieces in it. I remember the Cyclops. I remember I remember the siren sequence in
Yeah,
particular. I remember from that. I remember like in high school not quite understanding like the suitors component of it, which I think is a very bizarre.
yeah,
Even now, it's still a bizarre concept. The idea of like suitors showing up to like fuck uh what's his name's wife while he's gone is a weird
yeah,
idea. um but yeah, I think Nolan takes a universal story and brings this the expected spectacle that you would come to expect from a Nolan film.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, just the scale of all of it, and I think people, even myself, I can't fully appreciate the amount of work that goes into making
Oh,
this
yeah,
possible to be seen on the screen.
yeah,
And there's just so few filmmakers that are delivering things like that to us these days. I mean, you've got Denis Villeneuve's one, you've got Scorsese's another, Tarantino, and
yeah,
Nolan. There's
yeah,
five,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and so yeah, I just think that we have to sit back and appreciate that for what that is. The
Yeah.
gift that they have to have filmmakers like that getting these projects completed, on time and under budget, and just being just huge technical achievements. I also think the character stuff works. I think Matt Damon is actually fantastic in this, and I think you've got really, I mean, it's just like star after star showing up, and you're like, oh shit, it's Robert Pattinson. I had only seen one trailer, so I knew like Anne Hathaway was in it. She's
He
amazing
was
in
in the
it.
second trailer. I was like, he's in this movie too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
John was it Lucas or was it, if I can never pronounce his last name.
was
What is it?
John Leguizamo.
Yeah, he's great. I hadn't seen
Yeah,
him in forever. It's like, man, like he's cool. I love him.
yeah,
Yeah, I like Benny Safdie shows up as
yeah,
Agamemnon. He's a huge physical presence in the film. I love every scene with him is fucking cool. Elliot Page shows up. I mean, you got just a good cat. I know there's some controversy over that. I
yeah.
don't care. Dumb. Who gives a fuck about any of that? It's such a silly for a
Silly.
character that's in the movie for 5 minutes. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not gonna get into that
No,
anymore.
no, that's true.
um the controversies of this film feel manufactured, but I do think yeah, I think it was fun to watch in a packed theater on a big screen and a loud sound system. We went in to see it at 10:45 at night. It's a 3-hour movie, and we on the way there I was like, what the hell were we thinking? Like, I'm exhausted. We like had swam in the pool earlier that day. We kind of had a few drinks, not at that point, but it had been a few hours. But we, like we were physically worn out going into the screening of it, and I was thrilled the entire way. I think it gets there. You can feel its length at 2 o'clock in the morning in its
Okay.
later stages. But I do think ultimately though, like just the spectacle. The Cyclops sequence in particular for me is when it really kind of kicks into gear, and every set piece from there on out is just really exciting and visually spectacular. I mean, really, truly,
Yeah,
in the actual definition of that word. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's I think his modern spin on a universal story to me is very interesting. Um, I think it's something that will, I don't know. I don't want to get into that's kind of getting into spoiler territory, so I'm going to avoid that. But I do like the direction, and I don't remember how that parallels the original text.
Uh,
But I like what's there, like the reading in between the lines of the original text.
yeah,
And then yeah, just I mean, everybody's amazing in it, and I don't know, man. Like I found out after the fact that like there's like no CG like doubling of actors. Everybody in frame is like real, and you're like, God, what an idea. Like to be able to get a fucking 250 people on screen at one time.
yeah, right.
There's a sequence with giants in which they use body doubles instead of like scaling Matt Damon down. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like this the physical scaling of the characters looks practical, and it is practical.
Right, yeah,
Um, there's an Army of the Dead sequence where they had like it was just a scene in the trailer. They had like hundreds of extras like buried in the ground with snorkels. You're like, what the like? I can't believe that you could execute that
yeah,
and make that happen. Yeah, they shot it like on a real boat in Greece. Like it's
yeah.
just stuff that you just don't just no movies don't get made like that anymore.
Anymore.
So yeah, it's I mean yeah, it's as big as movies get, and it's exciting and it's fun. I'm sure there's gonna be contrarians that are like, yeah, it's Christopher Nolan hasn't been good ever. Uh Fine. The people that choose not to enjoy things. But I do think I mean, there's a spectacular sequence involving a witch that I think is a concept in the original text
Yeah, yeah,
that I think is really like it borders on like body horror. It's really fun, really fun. I love the tone of that whole section of the movie.
yeah.
It feels like a descent into hell at times, like just. I don't know. It's the closest thing Nolan's made to a horror film in a lot of ways, and yeah, I just really like it. So
Good, good.
that's
That's
the Odyssey.
that's.
This episode's gonna be 4 hours long.
I was gonna say,
I guess.
but
Yeah, we started it. We're over an hour at this point.
yeah.
Been talking for a while, but these are big movies. There's some good stuff.
That's-
Let's talk about a tiny little quiet film called
yeah,
Blue Heron.
Blue Heron. Um,
Why don't you give? I've been talking too long. You intro this one. Tell the people what this is
yeah.
about.
So, basically, and I guess just to set up, we focus on a family who has a child that has
Teenager.
um uh issues. I mean, not a spoiler. I mean, we do find out in the middle of the film, but and and it's told from the point of view of the sister, the little sister,
The younger daughter,
who
yeah, or
the younger daughter, but yeah, the little
she's probably
sister.
like seven or six,
Yeah,
maybe.
she's around 7 or 8, and through her eyes, how the parents deal with the child, what the child gets himself into, and I guess which was something I'll discuss when we get into it. How she wishes it could have been dealt with, and how she's still dealing with it now.
Mhm.
I think it's really I think it was really poignant. I actually did like it. But it was so subtle, so quick. And it's funny because it's like, you know, when it ends, I wanted a little bit more because I wanted to know more. But it
Sure.
was very, like you said, very gentle and sweet. And it was very interesting film. And it takes place in the 90s,
Yeah,
right?
it is a
Because
period piece. Yeah,
yeah,
at
she's
times.
20 years older in the future. So and it makes sense because I have a child who's on the spectrum, and it's like, when I was younger, nobody knew about any of that stuff. Like if somebody had ADD, there was just a bad kid, you smack his ass, and that's that. But it's just interesting to see that how she's seeing now. Because but again, yeah, because there's a
Yeah,
secret talking to a therapist, and the therapist was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he was never diagnosed." And I was like, cut to when the parents are talking about speaking with a therapist, he was like, "Oh, he's just trying to be the boss. You got to be the boss of him. And I'm like, oh my God, it's
Just
so
a complete lack of understanding. But it's not. It's just what
exactly,
was available at the time. Like with the amount of information that we had in the '90s about mental health and
mental
psychological
health.
disorders is. I mean, we used to fucking zap people. We still kind of do, but it's not the same. We used to just
Yeah,
we did that for a long time and then realized that had, it was a way to put people down, but it was not beneficial. Yeah, our understanding as a society of mental health and again, psychological disorders in general, has shifted a lot. I think this movie is an interesting exploration of that on a very human, again, intimate level, just through the lens of this family. I actually really liked this.
yeah,
I think at this point, let's move into spoilers.
yeah,
It's a very quiet film. It's probably a hard thing to recommend because it is kind of like an indie. I mean,
yeah.
very
That's,
little dialogue really in it, and it's not really a plot heavy movie. So I don't know. It's not probably not for everybody, but if you like something that's kind of an exploration of mental health and psychology, I think this is it's kind of in the same lens of something as like we need to talk about Kevin, but far
yes.
less.
Funny, I when I told my boss about this movie and stuff, she said, "Oh, have you ever seen We Need to Talk About Kevin?" I was like, "I was just you mentioned it." I'm
Yep,
like,
Lee Ramsey. She
"Yeah,
she wrote the book and directed the movie and other really really great stuff. She's a great director, and I think that movie's really good. I revisited it a couple years back with Marissa. Very haunting, really
yes,
just sad movie about this. And this is also sad, but in a very different way. I think we need to talk about Kevin's far more cynical,
yeah,
and far more about the public response to these kinds of issues. Not necessarily that is a particular tragedy in it that I think is critical for that particular film and story, but this isn't the same thing. It's more ambiguous and just about the idea of it, of a troubled teen, and as opposed
yeah."
to, there's a difference in terms of where those
But
stories
and
go.
like,
But
that word, which is used in the '90s stuff, it's like I feel bad because they say troubled teen and
sure,
so on. He's troubled, but it's like he's diagnosed with ODD, which is what JC has. My son has
sure.
oppositional defiance disorder, and with medication, he ended up getting better, and now he's fine. But to see that kind of, it's like this is a movie that Rhonda should watch, because in her family, unfortunately, they don't believe in
Yeah,
any of that too. Um, you
because I mean
know,
that's how they were raised, probably.
yeah, well,
For
yeah,
better for worse.
you're here in Texas, you grew up on a farm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you smack the kid on his butt, and you just gotta smack it out of him. But it's a sad thing, and it's like heartbreaking to watch that scene where they're talking about the therapist and go, "Oh, he's an asshole," because that's what he said. He's like, "Oh, you just got to show him who's the boss," and I'm
yeah.
like,
They're like laughing it off to some degree, but it's
"Yeah,
also
yeah,
it's
exactly.
just like one of the last things that they've tried. Like I think there's an interesting perspective on the exhaustion that occurs from
Yes, yes,
trying to get help with this kind of situation. I don't know. I think all that stuff to me is really fascinating and
it
far
is."
because I think the film. I mean, at least from the description of it, I don't think I had seen a trailer for it.
I
But
did, but it was I saw it. I was like it didn't even go into my brain. I was like, oh,
gotcha. Yeah.
this becomes but yeah. Now I remember like those little scenes they had in the trailer, and I was like, okay. But it was what
So let's
was
get into spoilers at this point. I mean, if that
I,
sounds like
oh,
something you'd be interested in, you should watch it because I do think it's very good at what
oh
we're
yeah,
talking about here.
yeah,
But yeah, hard. It is a tough movie and a sad one. It's hard to recommend, but I do think we'll talk more in depth here with spoilers. So, spoiler warning from here out for Blue Heron. From last year. Yeah, so I mean, I think the interesting thing about this, which reminds me of a couple of other movies that are similar structurally, is just the point of view from Sasha as the younger sister.
yeah,
There's kind of like a childlike innocence to
yeah,
that point of view. There's a great sequence in the middle of the film where the mom is making like latkes or like
yeah,
potato was it potato pancakes for they're not, I
yeah,
don't know if they're latkes or yeah, it's all the same thing. She's making those though, and the daughter's like standing next to the counter. We're just like focus on her hands as she's making these, and like it's just a great sequence, really quiet moment where she's talking to the daughter about like I think you should not invite a friend over because they might judge you for this situation, and the daughter's kind of unaware of it. She's like, why would I be ashamed about this?
yeah.
I don't quite understand. She doesn't fully comprehend the
Yeah,
nature
'cause
of the
he was
situation.
arrested in the sequence before that he got arrested for
Hmm.
shoplifting, which she watched him shoplift when
Mhm.
she was at the little nature
The
thingy,
Blue Heron,
the Blue Heron, with the
Yeah.
whole speech about the Blue Heron. And yeah, it's like, and then he goes to go further and walk on top of the roof,
Mhm.
with this creaking roof and this glass. I'm like, oh my God. So it's like, he starts to progress in the ODD, where he
Lashing
starts
out, or at least like just
out.
the
They say,
ultimately it's attention seeking behavior, but it's because
yes,
he's really struggling and it doesn't know how to, yeah, it just doesn't have the tools or the support that
yeah,
he needs. And I think what's devastating about the film is the family truly tries to
right,
give him the support that he needs. It just wasn't accessible at the time. And
yeah,
I mean, as a human being with that has to go to work and they have four other
yeah.
kids or something. I mean, they've got a whole family of kids.
She takes the kids every day somewhere, and she's like, I can't do this all the time
Yeah.
now.
And
So
that's
I
really
took,
hard to watch. I do think
yeah,
but it's quiet in its
yeah,
depiction of that. And there's these joyous moments of like the kids jumping on the trampoline and
yeah,
like but then there's this quiet darkness to, the mother and father sitting in the bedroom, like watching the kids out the window and then discussing this thing that's really weighing down the
yeah,
family at the same time. It's just a really kind of sad contrast. The going back to the sequence with the latkes and him getting on the roof, that the latkes get burned at the end of that sequence while she's trying to like, assist him and not getting hurt while on the roof. And it's just this really interesting visual depiction of like what's being done to the family, regardless of intent or, just this like it's just destructive, regardless of who's at fault or, there's nothing you can really do about it. Unfortunately, at the time, there just weren't the tools, and that's really sad. It's really hard to watch, and I think I didn't expect the time jump for some reason. I mean, I know the opening line.
I because they were skating the line like between what was going on in the '90s to now. I actually started saying, "Is that's the sister?" Because it looked like her. And
Mm,
then they were like, "No," they were talking about the case. I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's a caseworker." And then when she goes to the house, I'm like, "Oh, so it is a caseworker." But then, you know, after that whole scene plays out, I guess it's for what she remembers when they finally take her brother or the son. And because then she talks to her, she speaks to herself, and tells
mhm.
her like a little funny thing in the ear
Yeah, which is a
as
beautiful
her
sequence.
brother is like
Yeah,
overshadowing the scene.
gives me chills thinking about it. I thought that moment
Yeah,
was really
and
moving. Yeah,
like
yeah.
then finally when she goes, we have to go, she sees as the caseworker now, she sees the real caseworker that was there at the moment, and that's when she leaves. And it's kind of that whole thing of acceptance, because then she's out there talking to her brother,
Mhm.
and it's sad because it's the first time he speaks,
Yeah.
and he says, "I don't think you remember everything the way it happened, or the right
Mhm.
way." And I thought that was powerful and interesting too,
Sure.
because that's what she's feeling. She
Yeah.
feels like you said, she's a little girl, and through her eyes, and it's so innocent. It's something that she probably grew up with, so it's not much to her.
Yeah.
The things that he did, and as they escalate, it's still not like, oh my God. It's like something that she just sees a progression of
Sure.
her older brother's self. But it's very powerful, and it's very sad. And that last scene where she's reading
Oh,
the Facebook message,
yeah.
and you realize that he's passed away, he killed himself, he
We
died.
lost him, is what they say. They're very vague about it, which I think is
Yeah,
actually
that's why I
more
wanted
interesting
to.
to me.
Yeah, I wanted more, and I was like, oh fuck, that's so fucked
But
up.
I,
But
I like that the movie doesn't have, honestly, like a
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
comparing it to We Need to Talk About Kevin. I
Yeah.
like that scene isn't in the movie, in this
Yes.
movie. I think it would detract from what the
Yes.
story's
Agreed.
truly about.
Agreed. Agreed. It's it's
Um,
it's it's very subtle. It's a film that I recommend families who have an issue like this to watch.
sure.
You know what I mean? Because like I said, I think Rhonda would actually appreciate this film, because like I said, she grew up in a home where mental health wasn't something that seen as mental health. It was like a kid acting out. And now with, being so much older, mature, my sister's a child psychologist. She helped her with JC, and she's, everything's turned around, and JC's gotten so much better where he
Mhm.
can function, like a regular normal child. It's not to say they're abnormal, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
But still on the farm, they're still like, oh, you need to smack him in the ass. And I'm like,
Mhm.
and I always roll my eyes. I'm like, no, that's not what you do. That's the last thing you do. But you know, I
We've
mean,
learned some things over the years,
yeah, it's like she's like even now after she had like a
like the
break.
consequences of physically harming
Yeah,
your children. You know, like,
which that's what
not that you don't want to smack them sometimes, you know.
exactly. It's like the scene where the father gets him in the room after he walks on the roof,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he ends up, like
Oh,
wrestling with him, and then front is holding
embraces him.
him, and the boy, the son goes into that, and it's so powerful. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my god, that's exactly what's needed, and not
sure.
like. But they were saints, these mother and father, because
Yeah.
I even say back then, how did they deal with that? But they did such an amazing job as
Well, and
parents.
that's something that's interesting, the
Yeah,
exploration of the daughter's perspective on the parents giving him
yes,
away ultimately too, and like not comprehending why you would ever do such a thing, but then also through the course of this investigation of those memories and moments of her life, coming to understand the reasoning at least
yeah,
through the Facebook message and through, I think somebody else maybe left her a voicemail at one
yeah,
point when she's in the house. I think is when how they portray it, but somebody saying like your mother and father, they were concerned for the rest of you guys. Like there's a legit risk to health. I mean, like especially talking about the him having gasoline and the potential that just
yeah,
the unpredictability of that and the stress that can put on families that just don't have the resources and tools they need. They can't risk the other children, even though they still are, they're still compassionate and care about the eldest child. I mean, it's really I mean, there's just so much going on there, and it's portrayed in a way that is really quiet about it.
yeah.
I just thought that was really compelling. I also just, so this film reminds me, did you ever see Aftersun?
No, you recommended that to me. I it's on my queue, but no,
You
but
should.
now
It would be one that would be worth. I think that could be one that I would love to revisit it. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think it's an extraordinary achievement, and it's similar. Without spoiling anything, it's similar in its construction, though. It's a daughter trying to just comprehend a memory from her childhood.
yeah,
And I think in that movie, she's also a filmmaker. Surprise, I guess, kind of ironically. But yeah, in that movie, she's like a filmmaker trying to understand. She's like looking at home videos that were recorded during this trip that she went on as a child, and it's very very similar in the unreliability of that memory, and not like at the time not truly seeing the world for what she now has the context to see it as. I
yeah.
think this film also does the same thing, and again in the way that I really love her, like the fantasy of her going and interviewing her parents
Parents, yeah.
and getting that, like because it's something you would do in your head, like you would work
Yeah,
through
it's
that
like kind of a
same.
like closure for
Yeah,
her, the situation.
but it's
So
ultimately though it's investigative. It's like
yeah, yeah,
she's kind of taking on that role of like the journalist or the documentary filmmaker, but it's something she can't really do. And
yeah.
there's another movie which I have you seen, All of Us Strangers? I know we've talked about it a few times. It's got what's his name, the British actor who's great, and Paul Mescal, who's also an Aftersun.
I'll say no, no,
Strangely.
I'm not.
Oh, it's Adam. Is it Adam Scott? What's his fucking name? Not
From
Adam Scott.
Hokum?
No, not that one.
That's
Sorry. It's
I was gonna say
I'm
Hokum.
just gonna look up All of Us Strangers
Yeah,
and give you the real actor's name. You've seen him in a million things. His name is Andrew Scott, not Adam Scott. My
Andrew.
apologies.
Okay, okay.
He's extraordinary in that film. That film's amazing, but it's very similar. The fantasy component, though, of like going back and interviewing your parents is actually what happens in All of Us Strangers. He's a writer that's writing a book about his childhood and trying to conceptualize the things that he went through as a child, and gets to go back and physically speak to his family, his parents in particular. Really heartbreaking, just tremendous drama. But again, like just about an adult trying to process memories from their childhood and not having the ability to
Yeah,
truly go back in time. You can't go back in time, and at least that we know of, except for in Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. But you have to have the right
yeah.
beverage to do so. But ultimately though,
Gene,
that's yeah, that's not a possibility, unfortunately, for now. But yeah, I think it's just these are just interesting movies for all these reasons. I think we all have, whether it's trauma or just like curiosity about the things that happened to us, decades prior. And I think these movies explore that in really interesting ways. But this is another one of those that takes that structure and showcases and presents it in at least a refreshing modern way. Like
Yeah.
the interview with her family, and then there's a shot at the end of this which I just think is like where she's with her brother for the first time, and the line that you mentioned where he speaks for the first time,
Oh,
and there's the voiceover of the Facebook message in the background, and there's this one long take where it pushes in on him and her sitting there on the beach, and then like as the letter starts to conclude, we zoom into like a medium tight
yeah.
shot, and then pull out, and he's gone, and it's just like,
Oh,
yeah, what a
that
heartbreaking.
killed me. I know. I
Ugh.
was like, oh, that's an amazing shot. I knew that was gonna happen, but it's great, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. But I think for how devastating of a film and just idea this movie presents. I do think there's a true humanity and like similar to the Pit. I use that a lot when we're talking about that show. There's just a compassion for this, troubled teen, just and just a sympathy for that character. And I think that for me is really beautiful often in this film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really love. I was really surprised by it, and I think I almost turned it off. There was a point because I was so busy this week,
Oh,
and
okay.
we like started it like, and it was like a minute in. I was like, oh, I gotta go. I needed to go do something for work, and then like we came back to it, and I was like, oh, we could just watch the show. I was like, I need to watch it for this podcast. And Marissa's like, no, we should just watch it. It's like 90 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
fine. I love a 90-minute film,
Yeah.
as you know. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what else this director I just had this pulled up.
We're gonna change the
First
name of
time
the.
first time filmaker though, Sophie Ramvari. I mean, this is just an extraordinary debut feature though from her. I think it's a debut feature. But yeah, I just was very very impressed, and I'm really curious to see what else
Definitely.
she makes. Because this is just produced with such tact. Yeah, this was the first debut. This was her debut feature. She co-directed something like another feature, but
Yeah.
a lot of shorts. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, that's Blue Heron. So anyway, let's wrap this thing up. We've gone like an hour and 45
Yeah. My
minutes or something.
daughter's blowing up my phone, and I'm like,
Oh
we're getting.
no. Tell her thank you for pushing our recording back a little. Let's do picks of the week real quick.
Yes.
Mine's quick. I'll just do it. Aftersun's the one that I recommended.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen
Mine.
Aftersun, it's great.
No, I want to see that now. Mine is Sybil. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
How do you
1970.
pronounce that?
Sybil, Sybil. Sally Field won an
I
award.
like Sally Field.
Yeah,
Great.
and Joanne Woodward, Robert Redford, Paul Newman's wife. Basically, it's based on a true story about a woman who, or she's a young woman in current, but as a child was mentally and physically abused, and because of that, she ends up getting multiple personalities, and
Hmm.
it's like the first film. Comes out in '76. Hold on, let me just send the
It
time.
was a TV series or mini TV movie.
It was released overseas as a film, but still it's about 3 hours long, and
Hmm.
Sally Field's amazing in it. She plays the alters come out, which is what they're called now, alters, and it's just a terrifying way to look at mental health
Hmm.
and personality disorder. And I thought about that movie while I was watching Blue Heron, because it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's like the whole interview with the person who's being who has the issue. So I put those. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, good one. It ties in really well with our
Yeah,
discussion for the week. Good job. Good recommendation. You're getting better. You're getting better at that.
I'm
I think you've
trying
been really good lately.
to be the
But yeah.
shepherd, but no.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. I'm
Yeah,
so unbelievably busy the next few weeks, but I'm sure
yeah,
we can find some time to do another recording sometime mid-August, probably.
yeah, definitely.
Um,
By then
but
I'll
yeah,
see
man.
1,000 movies, so that's good.
Yeah, you're off for a while, so yeah, maybe we'll do a spoiler catch up on some of the ones I talked about today, and then
Yes, that's
anything
definitely.
else we see we can touch on. But yeah, man. Well, thanks for doing this, and thanks for listening for those that did, and we'll
Happy
see y'all next time. Happy birthday to Carlos.
Thank
Everyone
you.
else, say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Say it in the comments. Type a comment. Better
Uh,
tell him. But yeah.
so I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on August. Yeah.